volume. So yeah, I
I
did hear
found
the
mine. Yeah.
conversation. I just needed to reiterate it. Thank you.
All
Um,
right. So we're live on YouTube.
Are
So,
we
and
not
Giselle,
yet
you've got
without
your
roll
you got your
call?
agenda.
I'm sorry, Andronika.
Okay,
Have we had a roll call yet?
no, not yet. I was about to do that. Just wanted to make sure everybody was straight. So we're on
Don't go
YouTube.
live until roll
Let's.
call is done.
I'm good.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's bring this meeting to order, and let's start with the roll call.
Roll call. Chair Andronika Morris.
Present.
Member Giselle Johnson Banks. Edgar Chase, the fourth.
Present.
And Stephen Smith. A quorum is present.
Thank you so much. Let's get into old business. First item on the agenda. So we wanted to talk about, we want to get an update on the pilot program. And we're going to get a report from legal counsel on this.
Basically, let me come off of mute. Hold on one second. Okay, so what this was a request from Mr. Brown on all documents that were regarding a pilot sales and any information in between. Just as an update, Jade has that information and we'll be dropping that off to Mr. Brown shortly. So that's just to give you an update that we are moving forward with that. Thank you.
And so just to be clear about this, this is the payment in lieu of taxes program or is it something else?
No.
This is exactly what we've been talking about in the meetings that relates to old business, as far as Mr. Brown having the closing documents on our pilots that have successfully closed. I think there's an information, there's a inquiry for him just to have that information. So Jade is actually live right now, downloading this information for a jump drive to provide to him. So thank you.
Commissioner Morris, Mr. Brown requested to Naja's point, Mr. Brown requested certain documents that were a part of the closings for each one of the 3 deals that have closed. We have gathered that information, the responsive information, but he asked for it in a hard physical copy. So we had to print those out and we'll be delivering those to him this week. But I think he just wanted the opportunity to review them, I guess. So to the extent that there are other board members that would like copies of them, if you need physical copies, I doubt very seriously that anyone else will want the physical copies. But if you just have extra time on your hands and want to read through these closing documents, you can certainly make them available to you.
And so again, just to be clear, you guys are making them available in physical copy, but they're also available electronically.
Yes, they were initially transmitted electronically, but we, Mr. Brown needed them as physical copies so we can make those available.
Gotcha. Yeah, can you forward? I don't know about any of the other committee members. If you could forward me a copy of the electronic submission, so I could just see what he got, and just to have that. But I don't need a physical copy.
Okay.
Same here, Jade. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, unless anybody doesn't want it, I think sending it to all the board members makes sense as well, just so they'll have it, and that way, yeah.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
And again, I don't think anybody wants a physical copy except Mr. Brown. The rest of us are quite happy with an email.
I figured as much. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments that they want to make about this item under old business? All right. Seeing none, thank you. Moving on to new business. First item on the agenda is program committee minutes from the last meeting. So we want to go ahead and review those, and I'd entertain motion to approve the minutes unless there are any corrections or updates that anybody wants to go through.
I move approval of the minutes.
All right, thank you so much. With Commissioner Johnson Banks moving approval, I will accept that as, because we don't have anybody who can second, right, Jade? And we will go ahead and take a vote to approve the minutes. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the April 20th, oops, sorry. I'm looking, yeah, the April 20th Programs Committee meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Moving on to the next item for review, discussion, and possible edits is the Community Support Fund update and a discussion around making some changes to the fund allocation for this program. So I think we want to hear from Kelly Schmidt on a status update on the program, and then we will discuss the resolution for the committee members to discuss, and then we would vote on whether or not we want to change the resolution before it is brought before the full board tomorrow. So Kelly, I'm going to go ahead and have you go ahead and start your presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Today we're requesting reallocation of funds. The current status of the Community Support Fund, we have awarded $50,750, with $49,475 of that being rental assistance. To date, we've awarded $1,275 for utility assistance, and that makes up a total of 17 applicants, with the last request for utility assistance being August 17th of 2020. We continue to receive requests. All of these requests to date have been all focused to rental assistance. We currently have 7 in the intake process, all requesting rental assistance, meaning we are reviewing their information. It was the initial client intake. We have 1 item in processing, meaning we are ensuring they meet the guidelines. We have 1 pending to be paid. So the community is still demonstrating the need for rental assistance. However, we have reached the total dollar amount allocated by the board at the time this was rolled out. So the resolution today is a request for us to reallocate the funds in order to meet the community's needs.
So before we get into that, I know I have questions. I wanted to make sure we talked about this. So what has been, I wanted to also understand what was the outreach attempt to let people know that there were funds for utility assistance?
At the time of the client intake, it's explained to them that they have access to both rental or utility assistance. So we make sure they have a full understanding of the fund before they turn their request in. And at the time of
but
the
that's
application,
that's not the question. What's the outreach strategy to say to people that Finance New Orleans has funding to help people pay their utility bills?
So I can't address the previous advertising or how we've done that. I know today, when we're contacted by a customer, we ensure that they know what's available to them. The guidelines stated. Sorry?
I get that. This is my problem, and we've talked about this before. When we rolled out this program over a year ago, we talked about the fact that Finance New Orleans would be taking its precious reserve dollars to help meet a real serious need in New Orleans, rental assistance. We changed that so that and we put some parameters on it that because we could have spent this money 14 months ago were it not for the parameters we created, which were designed to connect people who could possibly qualify for other Finance New Orleans programs, which reduced the sliver, which was part of the reason why we further bifurcated the funds and split it between rental assistance and utility assistance. One of our biggest programs that we're about to roll out is our green mortgage product, helping people make their homes more energy efficient and helping people who need utility assistance because their home, because they've lost their job because of COVID, or they have had impact because of COVID, and they live in an energy efficient home, would also help us identify people, particularly homeowners, who could qualify for this fund. And to hear us say now, there's more need for rental assistance. That was the case 14 months ago. We could have spent this $100,000 in a snap of a finger, helping people who had rental assistance crises 14 months ago. We decided not to do that. We decided that what we wanted to do was work with people who were a part of, who could be our potential clients moving forward. And so that's what I'm trying to understand is before we move any money. And so I'm hearing that we didn't actually tell anybody we had rental assistance money. I mean, we had utility assistance money. And so before we take that away and say, well, because we're getting all these rental assistance requests because people don't seem to know that we have utility money.
Hey,
and again, that dovetails better with our future program. Go ahead, Damon.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that just for clarity, when we advertise the program, and we haven't done much advertising, is the short answer to your question. And we haven't made any new announcements. But when we do advertise the program, or when we have in the past, it's been advertised as COVID relief, not just rental assistance, but rental and utility assistance. So what Kelly is saying is people are given the option of rental or utility. They're mainly choosing rental. But we have not.
Right, but there might be people who don't need rental assistance and might, for example, homeowners who could use a rehab to make their home energy efficient will not call for this program because utility funding doesn't have to just go to renters. It can go to renters and homeowners, correct?
That's right.
So we're not reaching out. If I'm a homeowner and I'm struggling to pay my utility bills because my house is energy inefficient, and that person is actually a prime candidate for our program, we have not outreached to them. We have not marketed to them. They see a notice from us and they see rental assistance and they keep on going because they don't think that program is for them.
No, and let me just offer this information. So what the current ethos was that folks that had applied for rental assistance could not apply for utility assistance. And so now that we know that, we're now trying to go back to offer our rental assistance recipients to utility assistance recipients. And so that's going to just take a little while so that we can reach out to each one of those who have had the benefit of the rental assistance to find out if they need utility assistance.
No, that's not what we're doing here. We're talking about no longer doing utility assistance and moving the money all a rental. That's what we're talking about.
Excuse me. The initial instruction was to see if any of our people could utilize the utility benefit. That was the I'm sorry.
No, what I asked and what I've been asking has been, how have we told people? No, because I in fact said this several times. How have we told people? How have we let people know about it? Because again, I serve on this body, and that's the only reason I know. I have not seen anything other than these conversations that let people know. And so this is the point. We made a tough decision.
Right. And I hear you. I'm trying to get you to understand that before I started, the program was marketed individually. You could receive a rental assistance benefit or you could receive a utility assistance benefit. They were not told that you could receive both. And so now that we have absorbed the rental utility side, we are going back to our rental recipients to say, hey, we told you this, but this is really what you can utilize. And so that is where we are.
And
And
again,
let me
this is
chime in, because I think both of you are making good points, but I don't want to mess up the point that Andronika is trying to make and the opportunity we have. I think what she's getting at is we have an opportunity to reach out to our folks who we're going to want to target for our green mortgage program when we roll it out, to say, hey guys, you homeowners who want to energy efficient and get all this right because you have high utilities costs and you may be feeling the burden at this time. This is an open doorway for me to get you in and start this conversation.
Correct.
I can help you with the rent right now due to
the-
your constraints on COVID. But
Correct.
after that, when that runs out, I have this program that you can utilize that long-term fulfill your needs.
Correct. Now,
correct.
the
Yes, and so,
caveat
yes.
here is actually getting the green mortgage program off the ground, right? So that we can package these products in for new homeowners or existing homeowners.
Right. And we're not, and again, the point is that rather than abandoning the utility program, which I do not want to do in case it's not clear, I don't want to abandon the utility program because I think it is, to Chair Chase's point, it is a good entree point for property owners and homeowners. And what I'd like to see happen is, because again, that's what we agreed to do with this money, not simply help people because of COVID. We want to do that, but we also want to help people with COVID and identify prospective clients for our long-term program. So using COVID as a way of propelling people to the next level, specifically inside of Finance New Orleans' bailiwick, inside of our purview. Because again, we could have spent $100,000 in less than a month, 14 months ago, to help people who were struggling, just general people who were struggling, because the need was that severe. The need is still that severe.
It's still severe.
And us spending, no, I'm very well aware of how severe it still is. And my point is our $50,000 isn't going to solve all of those problems. It is in fact, but what we can do, we can set ourselves up and our programs up because we can identify homeowners and property owners who are having serious issues with paying their utilities, be it a renter paying their utilities, or if you are a homeowner having utility problems, identifying those people with this money, letting them know that it exists, and going back and saying, once the green mortgage products are available, these are some of the first people we want to talk to.
Correct. And we
Instead
have
of-
incorporated that into our blast so that we can go back to those people. I do also want to let you know.
And we're not simply going back to, Naj, I want to make the point clear. We're not simply talking about going back to people. I'm talking about identifying other people, homeowners in particular. Homeowners can apply for this funding. You have not gotten many requests for them for two reasons. One, because they have not been targeted. If they did see it, they saw renter assistance and they just kept it moving.
Well,
and instead of moving the money,
we have a local organization that helps the New Orleans residents with utilities under Thelma French. So, I hear what you're saying.
that funding typically goes to renters, and that funding typically goes to renters.
Wait, Naj, hold on a second, Naj. Hold on. Because Andronika, there's a bigger issue here. So I understand what you're asking us. But I want to bring to the board's attention that we have limited resources, limited marketing capacity at this point, and most of our attention has gone to getting the new programs off the ground. So it then becomes a question of how do we make time to do additional advertising or advertising or reach out for the program. Up to this point, people have come to us and they've exhausted the rental assistance funding, and we just haven't had a lot of interest in the utility funding. So we can. What you're asking is can we go out and find some more people?
And again, this is these are email blasts. We can reach out to the United Way. We can reach out to the homeowners, the home buyer counseling agencies, and say, do you know any homeowners who need help with utility assistance? This is an email blast that is targeted at homeowners and say the Finance New Orleans has programs that will help you pay your utility bills and possibly could help you make your home energy efficient.
Okay, so the issue there is we don't have a database of emails. A lot of our information in database form, which we're going through now, are physical addresses. So
I'm not saying you would reach out directly to homeowners. You reach out to groups like the Greater New Orleans Housing Alliance, Louisiana Fair Housing Action Center, SLLS. There are partners who will send the United Way, who will send these blasts out to their partners and to their homeowners.
Okay. Yeah, that's not
what I'm talking about.
I got you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so that is what, before we move all of this money away from that, because again, and like I said, this is how this was pitched, and there are still opportunities to help these other folks and to get connected to them, to get connected to homeowners, and to let them know that this funding is out there. The rental, and to the point about the TCA funding that they get from the LAHEAP funding that they get from the federal government through the Louisiana Housing Corporation, that money overwhelmingly goes to low-income renters. Very little of it goes to homeowners, which is one of the reasons why, again, this program lines up for us because this is who we are aiming at. Moderate income, low to moderate income homeowners who would need financing to help make their home energy efficient because they can't afford the utility bills, particularly as we're coming into the summer, and what's been happening in the last few months. I mean, I understand that you guys have some people who've come in to make application. Again, taking this $50,000 away, because again, homeowners have very little resources during COVID. We have not seen a homeowner relief funding yet. That has come down. That's supposed to be coming out of the American Rescue Plan. While we have put out hundreds of millions of dollars for renters, which is woefully not enough. But this $50,000 isn't going to tip the scales for the need for renters, while it could address the needs of homeowners who haven't been targeted. And again, are the core of our constituency.
So, hi, good afternoon, everybody. As the marketing director, I'm happy to do that, to make that email blast happen. I would say we don't want to lose this opportunity, given that we've noticed that there is a need for support in the area where they were trying to move the money originally. I'd like us to not lose that and keep that in mind. Additionally, I'd ask Chair Morris, you mentioned sending this outreach email to entities like your own that you named. Have you done any outreach to let folks know as a member of this board that this money's been available, and have you gotten any responses?
Yeah, we sent something out a couple of months ago when it first came out. And yeah, we got people who said that they knew that, but when there was a move to make it more for utilities, we sent something out early in the year. And then the last time we talked about it, we said, wait a minute, did we let people know? What did we let people know about this? And I've been waiting to hear what the marketing strategy was before we abandoned this. So let's say we do it again. And I know you have, and again, I want to be clear about something. The need for rental assistance is in the millions of dollars just for New Orleans. This $50,000 is not going to make or break the rental assistance programs. And again, I want to say one more time that there's been very little money directed towards homeowners who we want to target to help them make their homes energy efficient. So $50,000 for them would be a great deal. And that is the point that I'm trying. And again, we could have put this money out on the street last year. If we just wanted to help renters, we could have done this a year ago and the money would be gone. But we wanted to help people who could then take advantage of Finance New Orleans' larger programs. And that's the point that I am trying to make sure that everybody remembers. If we wanted to just go into our reserves and help people struggling during COVID, we could have done that already. We decided not to do simply that.
Let me chime in. I agree with you, Anjanika. That was part of our strategy. While doing good and helping the community, is that we would target folks in our database who were customers of ours or potential customers of ours. And so if we are not fully reaching those customers, I think we do need to at least extend this a little bit to give them the opportunity to get the rental assistance, not rental assistance, utility assistance. If we
So
have
I think
not
what we're
done that.
saying is, yeah,
Right.
if we have not done that. So I think what we're saying is that the program committee will not be recommending that we present this resolution to the body tomorrow to make changes. What we do want to see is one more college try, the outreaching to homeowners, prospective landlords, and other people to let them know about utility assistance. And then we go from there.
Okay, so just to wrap it up, we can follow up with that request. We can do a targeted email campaign like Jarvis mentioned. And then, you know, I don't know how many more cycles we can check in next month to see what kind of progress we've made, but you know, we can certainly get something sent around just to see if we get any take from it.
So then do we need to vote about, or we're going to table it? Do we need to vote to table, or are we just going to move on to the next item?
We're gonna move on.
You can just move on to the next item. You can
Yeah.
table it.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll hear from you guys next month on how we're doing. All right, next item, Resilient New Orleans Plan, and it's the resolution to go along with it. I believe we're going to have a presentation from Mashika. Or is Mashika on here? No.
Mashika, yeah, Mashika's not here. I will actually be leading that presentation.
All right. Turning it over to you, Jarvis.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen to get the PowerPoint up. All right, just want to make sure everybody can see that, the PowerPoint.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
So first I want to begin by thank you all for taking the time out to sit with me. I know we've had some one-on-one conversations to discuss what this particular plan means to the organization and our future as a portion of our overall plan to push forward our new strategic plan, right? And knowing that there are a number of things that we have to consider where we live, being surrounded by water, dealing with natural disasters, and having to continually recover as a city. The organization went forward with some partners and created this plan that we're now referring to as the Resilient New Orleans Financing Plan that gives a number of different avenues and options for us to set the financial framework for the city if we expect to make ourselves more resilient and stronger in the defense of other disasters and potential things that come forward. All right. So this is the Resilient New Orleans Financing Plan, which is the framework for physical transformation in the city of New Orleans. So what is the Resilient New Orleans Financing Plan? In December of 2019, Finance New Orleans was awarded a grant from C40 cities to continue the work started in 2015 by the Resilient New Orleans Strategy. Finance New Orleans convened with several public agencies to develop a finance framework for green infrastructure projects. So the Resilient New Orleans Financing Plan overview consists of three major pieces. You got the project framework, the financing policy, and the Resilient New Orleans Finance Working Group. So for us, the Resilient New Orleans Finance Action Plan is kind of a cyclical group of pieces that work together. So I'll start at the upper left-hand corner with the research and development. Then that goes into the pipeline development, followed by community and stakeholder engagement. From there, we go to the project implementation. We do framework and impact evaluation, and then reporting and transparency. So for us, we've got a couple of target community outcomes that includes the production of affordable and sustainable housing, the green job creation, stormwater mitigation, community awareness and action, and green technology deployment, which will ultimately, we believe, lead to a reduction in CO2 emissions. So one of the things that this plan accounts for is the deployment and the increased use of green infrastructure to make our communities more resilient. This includes energy efficient retrofitting for homes, hurricane resistant roofing options, electric vehicle use, and charging ports throughout the city. The use of permeable pavement to help to move water throughout the city so we don't have standing water and flooding issues. Solar energy production and storage through solar panel installations, and then the use of rain barrels and gardens to also help catch that water for water mitigation purposes. So our roadmap going forward, in May 2021, this month, we are introducing a resolution to the board, first here through the programs committee, then to our full board, and hoping to gain your support in endorsing us to go forward and take this plan with our partners to start this necessary work, right? Many people talk about what it looks like or what are options. This is a solid plan that says these are things that we know are useful mechanisms that we can deploy or that we can work to deploy through new construction, through renovations, through retrofitting of old buildings that would help our city as a whole. This month also, we will have the Resilient New Orleans Working Group to approve the overall Resilient New Orleans financing plan. In June, we intend to take this to the New Orleans City Council to gain their support as well as partners in this process. After that, we intend to have the Resilient New Orleans Working Group convene its first monthly meeting, and then later in the year in Q3, we intend to have the Resilient New Orleans Working Group to start making their presentations to the council to provide everybody with updates on what's going on with the work that we've laid out. Are there any questions? If not, I have to, Naj, do you have the resolution handy to bring up?
Oh, so couple questions. Does anybody else, I was waiting for any of the other board members. I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm still concerned about this name and the fact that Resilient New Orleans is a plan that this is not connected to. And so I do think that we need to think about something that is clean and not connected and not having baggage of another program that is in limbo. I think that that is going to be a concern. You know, it's going to be a point of confusion moving forward. I know when we spent my briefing session, I was excited because I was like, oh, great. And I thought it was connected to that, and it's not. So I do think that we do need to be thinking, and we've changed the name before because we're trying to talk about climate change and using terms that are already out there, and that's part of the problem. But other than that, I think that this is tremendous. And again, exactly what we're looking for, how we move the finance of New Orleans forward to meet this serious need, and then connecting it in all of these different ways. It's very rarely that you hear climate change and affordable housing discussed in the same breath. And some of the other very practical and pragmatic solutions that Finance New Orleans is attempting to take on while we address, you know, what is the existential crisis of our time.
So, Andronika, just to give you some background and the rest of the board some background on the Resilient New Orleans plan, you mentioned we did change the name. The original title was the New Orleans Green Deal, and that was just that. It was just a working title. Other cities were using similar language. But to give clarity about its connection to previous plans, this Resilient New Orleans plan is an extension of the city's climate plan, which was done in 2017. as a reminder, we received 2 grants in 2019, one from C40, the other from the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. Both of those grants required the support, the direct support of the city of New Orleans. And it was understood in our application process that we would be continuing the work that was, I don't want to say discontinued, but some of the work that was not included in the climate plan. There were a lot of blank spaces and concepts that needed to be filled out. So the point of this plan is to fill out those blanks specifically on the financing side. So there is a historical connection between this plan and those previous ones, and that's by nature of the funding we received to pay for it.
Right, but it's connected to the climate change plan. It's not connected to the 2015 Resilient New Orleans plan. Hence the worry about confusion. Because there is a document, a City of New Orleans document that was released in 2015 that is called Resilient New Orleans, that is in limbo. And this isn't connected to that, nor does this fund any, and again, Resilient New Orleans Finance Plan says to anyone who is familiar with that 2015 plan that we are taking on financing some of the projects inside of that. And I don't think that that's what we're doing. I think there are other strategies that have been put in place. I mean, why wouldn't we just call it the New Orleans Climate Change Finance Plan?
Well, this is the name that
because it's connected to that plan.
Well, we discussed this name among all of the different agencies, and we asked for some suggestions. We threw out different suggestions. We had a few conversations about the name change. You know, what's the best way to represent what it is we're doing, and this is what the group came up with. The group came up with the Resilient New Orleans plan. So this wasn't just Finance New Orleans coming up with this name. This was all of the other agencies that you see signed on as co-owners of the plan. This is what we came up with collectively. So just a little background on how we got there. You know, we picked the most generic name possible. That's what the conversation was about. Because New Orleans Green Deal, as you and I discussed before, it gives off certain connotations or vibes.
Political, yeah. Yeah, political. It's political baggage.
So I'm just giving you the background, but that is how we got to Resilient New Orleans. That was what the group discussed, and we thought that would be the most generic way of representing what this plan is meant to do. So if any changes, any further changes, in the event that the board wanted us to do that, any further changes, we'd have to.
So you got to go back to the group. I mean, yeah. Like I said, I think it's going to cause more confusion than it will help. And like I said, other than that, but I think otherwise this is great. You guys have responded to some of the concerns that we raised, specifically making sure that it has the pieces necessary inside of, again, that you're focusing on affordable housing, you're centering it actually. That's, you know, there have been some, there's real meat on these bones.
Yes, and also, Andrenica, to your point about the affordable housing, we actually added more language, or we requested that C40 put a little bit more detail in there about the housing side of things, because it's very much so focused on resilience from a high level sense. So resilience that applies to all building types, but we added information to dig down deeper into the housing side because that typically isn't there. So that is another unique aspect about this resilience plan that I'd like to point out. And it's where we're beginning too. So with the Sustainable Developer Program, the Green Mortgage Program, we just talked about the utility assistance. You know, those are areas where we actually have programming coming out of the ground. So that housing component is very important. I know it sometimes gets overlooked in this bigger conversation about climate resilience, but even as it relates to Finance New Orleans and our strategic plan, housing is at the top of the priority list right now.
Yeah, thank you for that, Damon, because that was a concern that I had. So I appreciate you all drilling down into that to make sure that affordable housing is included in the plan. I think this is a great job, great plan. So kudos to you and your staff, Damon. I do have a question as it relates to, I guess, the short-term financial implications of the plan. I just wanted to get some clarity on if within this plan, there are components that are tied to our strategic plan that we have already approved, or are there other things that are separate and apart that have financial implications for this organization in the short term, within the next 12 months, I should say?
As it relates to this particular plan?
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so the point of the plan is to give us a foundation, not only for the city, but with the other agencies. And then the next steps, once this plan is approved by our board, the other agencies that you see signed on, they're going to take this template that you approve and they're going to present it to their boards too. So you guys are the first board seeing this, and that makes sense because we've led the plan. So next steps is that we're going to have an ongoing meeting with all of the agencies, a working group, and then there'll also be some periodic reporting to the public through the city council meeting. At this point, that's the medium we're using. So we'll use city council committee meetings to do our reporting out to the public. Each agency is going to meet monthly, and we're going to work through pipelines. So there are a pipeline of projects that we have, the city has, some other agencies have brought pipelines to the conversation. And so the work will be focused around getting projects off the ground. So to answer your question, we don't have to invest any money to make this program go. It's really all effort in the beginning. And ideally, we'd have money coming into us as opposed to going out of us as a result of this plan. So for example, we have about 5 pilot projects that we've been discussing with the city of New Orleans. Well, those projects may require a capital investment from us, but it would be in the form of a loan or credit enhancement. So those details haven't been figured out yet. We still have to build out the time frame for each one of those pilot projects. But ideally, we'll be using our balance sheet in one way or another to support some of these projects, if not all of them. And that all involves, cash going out, but cash coming into us as well. So there's no specific financial requirement at this moment. And as projects come about, we'll bring them to the board because, as you know, each board needs individual approval.
And
Yeah.
and to add to that, and I hope this helps to answer Board Member Johnson Banks's question. Partner agencies like NORA, right, the Redevelopment Authority, and the Transit Authority. We know that the Transit Authority as a whole is shifting to cleaner fuel buses, right? The Redevelopment Authority continues to have property that they're developing, so that's an opportunity for us to partner as they put these properties out for development. We can offer green mortgage assistance to these individuals, either purchasing the homes to go on the lots or to the particular developers to add in these green installations. So that does not necessarily take cash from us as an organization, but it offers us an opportunity to finance those entities and then make money off of that financing.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that to you both. And I guess just let me drill down a little bit further. So anything in terms of marketing of the plan, we don't have to assume any additional costs internally for this, correct?
We will be doing some marketing, but not at something that's going to cost us anything substantial.
It is part of the already approved budget, is my point.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's what I want to hear. All right, thanks, y'all.
And Giselle, a lot of the marketing that Jarvis and his team have been working on, it's going to be direct face-to-face events, webinars, things that are inexpensive to get off the ground. We're going to be spending a lot of time doing presentations with different stakeholder groups. We have some collaborative events going on, for example, with NOLA BA. We did something with them last year on the investor webinar. So we have things planned with them this year too. So most of the marketing around the Resilient New Orleans plan are going to be things that are inexpensive, but as Jarvis said, they're built into the overall marketing plan that we have for
Gotcha.
the agency. Yep.
All right. Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
All right, well, if we don't have any other questions, then I'll entertain a motion to support, for the programs committee to support the resolution going to the board tomorrow.
So moved.
All right, motion's been made and accepted, and properly made and accepted, so we can call for a vote. All those in favor of the resolution moving forward tomorrow, program committee recommending that it move forward tomorrow, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, okay. Motion carries, resolution carries. Great. So next on the agenda.
Morris?
Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Just one more comment before we move on. And I just wanted to, I didn't want to dismiss the comments that you were making about being careful about the naming and the branding. Just to understand that this is an ongoing living plan. So yes, we're calling it one thing today, but as we get together and meet on a monthly basis, as we come together and do these projects, and actually come back to update the plan, if you notice in the plan, it talks about the fact that we will come back at a periodic interval and make additions or subtractions to the plan as necessary. So this is an ongoing process. Although we're starting out at this point, nothing's ever really glued in, if you will. So I think there's going to be chances in the future to continue to influence this plan and make adjustments as concerns and issues come up.
Well, yeah, and so that's the other thing too, is we probably do need to make sure that in the upcoming meetings, I know you guys laid out the schedule and it's going to be in front of City Council, hopefully in June, at one of the June meetings. And we should probably also make sure that we're getting an update on, particularly on the progression and the adoption of the other bodies. I'd like to hear about that at the next program committee meeting. So maybe we can add this as a standing item that we get a report on just a quick operational update on how the program is, how the plan is moving forward, particularly in these beginning stages.
Absolutely, no problem. And that is a part of the mainly that's in our research and development area right now, and that's why Mashika was leading that conversation today. She's just not in the office today, but you will receive an update from Mashika.
Yeah, this wasn't supposed to be the regular date, so yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
good. You'll get an update from her at these meetings moving ahead, and we're also working on consolidating our pipeline across programs. So we have and I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I know we're getting into reports in a minute. So we do have a single family pipeline. We have a multifamily or developer pipeline, and then these new programs for small businesses, for other governmental agencies, anything that falls into that green infrastructure and buildings category. We're developing a pipeline for those as well. So you're going to see multiple pipelines moving ahead. The developer one stands out at the moment because it's an operating program, but there are a lot of stakeholders that we have to maintain track of. And just to give you an example, on the single family or green mortgage side, normally it's the focus is on getting individual homeowners, and we do certain types of marketing campaigns and techniques, and we'll continue to do those. But also, there are organizations out there, like you mentioned earlier, that have access to different homeowners, potential homeowners, people that need training, people that are already in their homes. So a lot of our marketing and outreach for pipeline development on single family is going to go towards reaching out to organizations on a consistent basis, doing presentations, getting to the groups that have large numbers of employees, et cetera. So pipeline
just overall, you're going to get more information. It's going to be dynamic to show you across the different programs moving ahead.
All right, that's great. That's I think that's good, and that's a good transition to the next item on the agenda, which is our program committee report and the April dashboard. So Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. So we've already covered the information on the dashboard for the community support fund. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
And Kelly, can you share the report for the people in the audience on the screen?
Naj, do you have it accessible? Thanks.
Can you see it? Programs report?
Thank you.
Yep.
Cool.
So page 4 starts the community support fund. Next page, Naj. The one previous.
I know my mouse is acting up. There you go.
Thanks. So this is the community support fund dashboard. We previously discussed this item showing 50,750 total awarded, with 49,475 being rental assistance awarded. Average age is 39 and 78% is female, and the remaining funds. The next page is our own New Orleans program. There was not a lot of change from the previous months, but you will see the average principal mortgage is 170,000, with the average purchase price being 174,200. Average household income 58,786, and the average DPA amount being 7,360, and average age of the primary borrower is 34, with 58% being female. And then you'll see the demographics for a few funders, for the lenders. And the last is the sustainable developer pipeline, which continues to evolve and add additions by request from the board. We have 53 total projects. Actually, the correction is 14 for active applications pending. Out of those 14, we have 5 awaiting full application, 4 in underwriting status, and 5 in pre-application. There were a few requests for initial additions to this dashboard that we wanted to ensure we had accurate data and it was visually presentable. So we're working on those, and the next meeting we will have additional graphs for the Sustainable Developer Program that addressed your concerns. So next month we will be having additions to this page.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big conversation piece because again, we want to make sure that we have that information. And then again, just giving us a good timeline of when y'all are going to be able to expand the reports, I think should be good enough for now. But so you're saying the June programs committee meeting, we will see a dashboard with the additional columns, and I think I heard you say graphs too, Kelly.
Yes, we're working on the graphs that were requested from the last meeting, and they will be presented for the next committee's meeting.
And so, yeah, we might want to make sure, because we also, there's clarification too. I know some of the things that I asked for were simply columns on the chart. And that doesn't mean that people didn't ask for graphics. I just want to make sure we're going to get the additional columns too.
Yes, there are going to be, the columns
Okay.
will be added. I'm sorry, my apologies. The columns will be added also. So there were several requests, probably about 10 items. The key of not
That's right.
having them ready for this was just the shift in the meetings last month was moved so late to the end of the meeting when this was completed, and then this one ended up to be shifted, but we're already working on these items. So there will be additional columns added per request. And again, we will be adding additional graphs.
Great.
Any questions? Thanks, Naj, for helping.
Committee members, any of you have any questions about the report? And so we're going to continue doing what we've been doing, which is the committee chairs will be giving the reports. So Kelly, you're going to give me some bullet points for tomorrow?
Yes,
like
you will have those. Yes, you will have those today.
I think that worked really well too. We sit here and just drill down around it, and then we talk about it. And so there's not a lot to report for this month. I think the big piece is going to be getting that additional data for the dashboard is where we're going to be going, and then like the dates and stuff like that, because that'll help people kind of track it. So they'll go, oh, is this project changing, or is this about to come to fruition? Yay! Or however it goes. So any other questions from any other committee members? Any other board members?
Nope, looks good.
All right.
All right.
Very good. So next item on the agenda, I'm going to ask if we have any public comments, staff?
No public comments at this time.
Okay. Well, hearing that we have no public comments, I think I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move adjournment.
All right. With that, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank y'all. Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.